Hello and welcome to Pub and Fig. In this video, I'm going to go over everything you need to know before we watch Captain America: Brave New World. I will only be using these projects as reference, so there will be no spoilers from the trailers nor the marketing. Now, before you panic, let me explain. The Captain America movies have always carried this large weight when it comes to impacting the rest of the MCU. For example, first Avenger introduced the Tesseract, which carried into the Avengers movie and was our first taste of the Infinity Stones. Winter Soldier tore apart S.H.I.E.L.D., which had been the interconnecting backbone for everything until this point. And Civil War was effectively Avengers 2.5, tore the team apart, and introduced new characters for the first time who got spin-off movies from this. I will go deeper into each of those movies, just giving some examples of how the Cap movies thus far have had such large consequences and connections. So, with the slew of titles, these ones will focus on Captain America lore, which my criteria will pertain to either relating to the Captain America mantle, vibranium, or the super soldiers. And then these ones will focus on all of the events that have mostly happened since Avengers Endgame, but I'm just going to consider what could possibly be but I will be considering them based on what the public perspective could be. Of course, I should mention that Steve Rogers is no longer Captain America and that the title has shifted to Sam Wilson. So without further ado, let's review. Covering the Captain America lore in a chronological order, we still begin our adventure in Captain America: The First Avenger. There, we meet scrawny Steve Rogers, who is found to be a good man and is trusted to be the first American super soldier. However, a Hydra spy tries to steal a vial of the super soldier serum and kills Dr. Erskine, but Steve stops him and the last vial is broken. Dr. Erskine was the sole genius of the super soldier serum, so without him or any remaining serum, the project cannot be continued. The US Army keeps Steve safe by having him perform across the country to promote war bonds, but Steve jumps into action when he saves his childhood best friend, Bucky Barnes, and the rest of his battalion from a Hydra base. Steve does encounter Johann Schmidt, but you likely remember him better as the Red Skull. Steve may be the first and only American super soldier, but Red Skull was the first super soldier period who took a partially defective prototype of the super soldier serum. The desired strength and enhancements worked just fine, but it left him red and deformed. Because of Steve's heroics, he is given a special shield and forms the Howling Commandos. The metal the shield is made of is vibranium, which is virtually indestructible and is very lightweight. However, it is a very rare metal, and that's all the vibranium the United States has. On a mission to kidnap Hydra's head scientist, Arnim Zola, things go a little south and Bucky falls off the train and surely to his death. Right? It turns out Bucky was experimented on a little bit by Hydra when he was captured, and from what I've seen, this is when he became a super soldier. So he survives the fall, Hydra finds his battered body in the valley, gives him a metal arm, brainwashes him, and keeps him as their Winter Soldier for many decades. Back to Steve, he has one final fight with Red Skull picks up the Tesseract and disappears, and to save the east coast of the United States, sacrifices himself by crashing Hydra's aircraft into the Arctic. After the war, Steve's love interest and other friend, Peggy Carter and Howard Stark respectively, become the founders of S.H.I.E.L.D. To keep it short, S.H.I.E.L.D. is an espionage and security organization that has its fingers throughout a lot of the MCU history. And I'll go ahead and note that while Hydra was thought to have been killed during World War II, it divided into two heads. One head moved to Russia, and the other secretly grew among S.H.I.E.L.D.'s ranks after Arnim Zola was recruited.
If they cut off one head, two more shall take its place. Hail Hydra.
During the time of the Korean War, the US revamped the Super Soldier Project. According to Isaiah Bradley, the United States gathered a group of men together to run tests on without their knowledge, seeing which serums did and didn't work. Isaiah was the only survivor and the only true successful American super soldier since Steve. At some point during the war, Isaiah and Bucky fought each other and Isaiah won, apparently having damaged the metal arm pretty good. In the end, Isaiah was put in jail and kept a secret for 30 years, with more tests being run to figure out why the serum worked on him and how to reverse engineer it. He only got out after a nurse took pity on him and reported that he had died, allowing him to come home, but with a heavy distrust towards his government and nation. Sometime after that, the Russians had their turn in the super soldier game, and the result was the Red Guardian. What he did during the Cold War is still very vague, even believing he fought the real Captain America, which cannot be the case. But we know he had connections to the Red Room, which also had the Black Widows. In 1991, the United States did again figure out the code to break down the super soldier serum. My speculation is that it was Stark Industries who figured it out, and Howard Stark was the one transporting the serums when Hydra sent Bucky to collect them. With the new serums, Hydra created more Winter Soldiers by enhancing their most dangerous assassins, but they too were kept on ice.
I was brought into Hydra's Winter Soldier program to pick up their work after the 5 failed test subjects in Siberia.
Finally leaving the 20th century, we come to the Incredible Hulk. What does the Hulk have to do with Captain America and super soldiers? It turns out that Bruce Banner was tasked to help undust the super soldier program, but tossing in gamma radiation into the mix and testing it on himself didn't turn out how anyone thought it would. General Ross, who hates Banner and believes the Hulk is US Army property, finds the promising Emil Blonsky to test a small dosage of the serum they do have to aid in tracking the Hulk. This small scene here is why I think it was Stark Industries in the 90s, but S.H.I.E.L.D. has tried to expand on similar-ish projects in the past while under Howard Stark's leadership, so it's hard to tell. As for Blonsky, the enhancements do work, and he also gained a strong healing factor since he looked good as new after having the absolute crap kicked out of him, but there are some side effects. Banner's goal throughout the movie is to cure himself of the Hulk, and his point of contact for help went under the guise of Mr. Blue. Banner meets with him, and they find a temporary cure, but it is discovered Mr. Blue kept past blood samples to replicate and test on. Blonsky wants to be tested on further, so Mr. Blue gives him the same process Banner had, creating the Abomination. To summarize the rest, Hulk beats Abomination and goes back on the run, Abomination is taken away, and the last time we saw Mr. Blue was during Blonsky's transformation, where some of Banner's blood fell into his head and began to enlarge it. Later that same week, some S.H.I.E.L.D. agents were exploring the Arctic and found none other than a frozen Captain America. They thaw him out and try to readjust him gradually to the new world, but that doesn't work, and Steve is told he's been frozen for nearly 70 years. In the Avengers, Captain America is called upon to retrieve the Tesseract yet again, but this time from Loki, the god of mischief. In the end, the Avengers are formed, comprising of Steve, Hulk, Iron Man, who's Howard Stark's son, Thor, Black Widow, and Hawkeye, and together they defeat Loki and his Chitauri army. I believe this is the first time the public is made aware of Captain America's return, but I might be wrong about that.
Baskin-Robbins always finds out.
Before jumping into the next movie, I briefly want to touch on Iron Man 3.
Brother,
In there, we are introduced to the Extremis program, which resulted in a group of individuals with some heat-based abilities and a remarkable healing factor. Whether or not they classify as any super soldier can be up to you, but I just thought I should still include them anyway. They did have the Iron Patriot iteration of the War Machine suit in this movie as well, so there's something Americana. Diving into Captain America, the Winter Soldier, we see Steve trying to adjust to the present day. He runs covert missions under S.H.I.E.L.D., goes to the Captain America Museum to learn about his and the Howling Commando's legacy, visits an old Peggy Carter, and works out to stay in shape. On one of his runs, he meets Sam Wilson,
Come on!
a former service member who now runs a support group. Steve and Black Widow learn about Hydra's infiltration of S.H.I.E.L.D. after an assassination attempt on Director Fury, and they come to Sam initially for refuge before he volunteers to put the wings on again.
I thought you said you were a pilot. I never said pilot.
They have a fight with the Winter Soldier and learn Bucky is still alive, leak all of Hydra and S.H.I.E.L.D.'s secrets to the internet, and they force the new S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarriers to destroy each other before Hydra could use them to take over the world. Steve and Bucky fight on a falling helicarrier, which finally breaks Bucky a little bit out of his conditioning. The movie ends with S.H.I.E.L.D. dismantled, Hydra scattered, Nick Fury looking for a new venture, Sam and Steve trying to find Bucky, and Bucky learning about himself in the museum. In Avengers Age of Ultron, the Avengers find Hydra's final active base, reclaim Loki's scepter, and encounter Wanda and Pietro Maximoff, twins who got powers through the testing of Loki's scepter. The Avengers have a party, which is where we see Sam updating Steve on the Bucky search, but then things get a little out of hand from here. Iron Man used Loki's scepter to create an AI named Ultron, Ultron wants to destroy humanity, and he recruits the Maximoff twins out of hate for the Avengers. He and the twins go to Africa to pay a visit to Ulysses Klaue, and by pay a visit, I mean steal his large supply of his stolen vibranium. They have a skirmish with the Avengers, and Hulk is manipulated to attack a nearby city. With the vibranium, a skin tissue machine, and with the Infinity Stone in Loki's scepter, Ultron tries to create the best body for himself. The Avengers steal the body, which becomes Vision, and they stop Ultron from using a city to dinosaur the Earth. Okay, this might not look great, but everyone was evacuated and the Maximoffs turned good, although Pietro died in the fight. The ending shows the Avengers moving from Avengers Tower to Avengers Campus, The Hulk disappears out of shame and guilt, and the newly recruited Avengers include Sam, War Machine, Wanda, and Vision. I should also mention Ant-Man, since the titular character needs to steal a certain device from Avengers Campus, and Sam is there to stop him. Safe to say, this movie is called Ant-Man and not Falcon.
It's really important to me that Cap never finds out about this.
But Ant-Man ends up falling on Sam's radar. In Captain America Civil War, we get our first appearance of Sam's drone Red Wing. General Ross is now Secretary of State Ross, and he hands the Avengers the Sokovia Accords. Because of all the collateral damage caused by the Avengers in their attempts to save the day,
Did it, Patrick! We saved the city!
the United Nations are forcing the Avengers to either fall under their authority or to retire. In response, half of the Avengers are in support of the Sokovia Accords, and the other half are not. Steve learns about Peggy passing away, so he goes to her funeral and learns something about Sharon Carter. Sharon was introduced in Winter Soldier as a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent tasked with protecting Steve, and it turns out she's Peggy's niece. Skimming for a bit, Black Widow goes to the UN assembly in Vienna, where a bombing occurs and Bucky is framed on the news. Steve and Sam try to help Bucky. The Black Panther is after them because his father was killed in the bombing. They get arrested with the shield and wings taken away, and Bucky's interviewer is silently replaced with Helmut Zemo. Zemo was a part of Sokovian intelligence and has a vendetta against the Avengers because his family was killed by the collateral of the Avengers' fight with Ultron. Because Hydra's secrets were leaked, he learned about the existence of the other Winter Soldiers, and because he hates super soldiers on the whole, he goes on a search to find them. He finds the code words used to condition Bucky and has him tell him the whereabouts of those other super soldiers. Going back to skimming, Steve and Sam chase after an escaped and brainwashed Bucky, hide out and conclude Zemo wants to recruit the Winter Soldiers, and they call Wanda, Hawkeye, and Ant-Man in for favors. Iron Man assembles his team to track them down, consisting of Black Widow, War Machine, Vision, Black Panther, and Spider-Man. The two teams come at a head at an airport in Germany, ending with Steve and Bucky flying to Moscow, the rest of his team arrested, and War Machine surviving a dangerous fall that results in just paralysis from the waist down. Team Cap is held in the Raft, a high-security prison. Iron Man realizes Steve is right and asks where he went. They find Zemo and discover he killed the Winter Soldiers. Zemo shows them the footage of Bucky killing Iron Man's parents, leading to another fight. Black Panther is also there and stops Zemo from rushing reletting himself so he can be properly tried. Iron Man blasts Bucky's metal arm off. Steve totals Iron Man's suit and leaves the shield behind out of respect for Howard, breaks his team out of the raft, and hides Bucky in Wakanda, where they will deprogram the code words out of his head. Taking a break from Captain America, we have Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther. In Thor, we learn Hulk wound up in space and as a gladiator on the planet Sakaar, having stayed in Hulk form since Age of Ultron. Banner, Thor, and a few others escape Sakaar to save Thor's home of Asgard, which does not go exactly as planned, but they at least evacuated everyone and are on their way to restart on Earth.
I feel like everything's gonna work out fine.
In Black Panther, we learn more about Wakanda and how they are secretly the most technologically advanced civilization on the planet. The rest of the world knows vibranium is only found in Wakanda, but believes there is no more left. But Wakanda has used vibranium in nearly everything and still have plenty of ore left to mine. On the super soldier front, whoever is given the title of Black Panther is given a heart-shaped herb, which gives similar enhancements to the super soldiers, but the villain burns the remaining herbs. We also see Bucky here living life and being a chill guy, and sometime around here we know the code words are successfully made ineffective. Now we get to Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. The Asgardian ship is boarded by the villain Thanos in a quest for the Infinity Stones, Hulk is beaten up, and then he is sent to Earth to warn everyone. Just focusing on the Captain America portion, Steve and his team save Vision from having his stone removed, and Ross makes an appearance to tell War Machine to arrest them, but War Machine joins their effort in protecting Vision. Before we continue, I just want to say two things real quick. One, Hawkeye and Ant-Man are on house arrest, but everyone else is here. And two, this is the latest appearance of Ross. He was in the Black Widow movie, but that movie takes place in between Civil and Infinity War. But the actor for Ross, William Hurt, passed away in March of 2022. From this point onward, Marvel has said that Harrison Ford will take over any future appearances of the character. Back to the Avengers, they plan on protecting Vision by taking him to Wakanda to have the stone safely removed. Ultimately, Thanos arrives all the same, plucks the stone out of Vision, and with his fully assembled gauntlet, simply snaps away half of all life across the universe. Bucky and Sam are among those snapped, and when the remaining Avengers find Thanos again, the stones are destroyed. After 5 whole years, the Avengers discover time travel, borrow Infinity Stones from the past, assemble their own gauntlet, and make a snap of their own to bring everybody back. I should probably mention that the Soul Stone is guarded by the Red Skull, having been sent here since the end of the first Cap movie. Also, a past Thanos learned about their plans, so he brings his army to the future, bombs Avengers campus, and everyone at this point in the MCU is assembled for the final fight, including Sam.
Captain Sam, can you hear me? On your left.
The battle ends with Iron Man sacrificing himself and snapping away Thanos and his army. Steve takes it upon himself to return the things they borrowed, but he then stays in the past to live his life with Peggy. An old Steve meets them in the present, giving Sam the shield and the mantle of Captain America. Now, we get to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Going episode by episode and not repeating anything I've already said, we start with Sam putting the shield in a museum because he sees the mantle as too daunting. He continues working as Falcon and carrying out missions. He has a new partner in Joaquin Torres. Torres learns about this group called the Flag Smashers and finds out they're super soldiers. And the US government gives the shield and title of Captain America to John Walker. The second episode establishes the leader of the Flag Smashers to be Karli Morgenthau, and Sam and Bucky realize they need Zemo's help. Episode 3 has the duo and Zemo go to Madripoor, bump into Sharon, who has built a life there because helping Steve and Sam get their things back in Civil War made her a criminal. They learn about the Power Broker, find the guy who remade the Super Soldier Serum using Isaiah Bradley's blood, learn the Flag Smashers stole the serums from him, and Zemo kills him. Episode 4 has John Walker and his sidekick join the trio to ambush Karli, which does not go well, but Zemo manages to break all but one of the remaining vials of the serum. Walker keeps and uses the final one for himself, Zemo sneaks away, and during another ambush, Walker's sidekick dies, and Walker murders a surrendering Flag Smasher in the middle of the open. Episode 5 has Sam and Bucky take the shield back from Walker. Walker is stripped of the Captain America title. Sam leaves his broken wings with Torres. Bucky hands Zemo over to the Wakandan Dora Milaje, who takes Zemo to the raft. Sam works on a family boat and has a training montage. And Bucky calls in a favor to the Wakandans so Sam can have new wings. At the end of that episode, and going into the next, the Flag Smashers lock down the GRC board as they are having a meeting, but I should probably summarize who the GRC are. During the 5-year window of the blip, as it became known to be,
they called it the blip.
Borders opened up to bring more workers in, and when everyone came back from the blip, the Global Repatriation Council was created to try to resort everyone back to normalcy. The Flag Smashers don't like them, and the only other reference of the GRC that I can recall is on a bus in Moon Knight, but if I am missing any other mentions, please let me know in the comment section down below. Anywho, episode 6 has everyone come together to stop the Flag Smashers, which includes Bucky, Sharon because she's secretly the power broker, Walker who wants to avenge his friend, and Sam who has a new vibranium suit and wings. Sharon kills Karli, and Sam is sad because he finds her cause understandable. He also tries to spin that the Flag Smashers weren't terrorists, but they very clearly were.
You have to stop calling them terrorists.
As for the rest of the Flag Smashers, they are blown up by Zemo's butler. The series ends with a tease of John Walker becoming the US agent by recruitment of Val, but that should be just Thunderbolt's territory.
By the way, don't worry about the shield. It doesn't really belong to the government. It's kind of a legal gray area.
Bucky concludes his arc, Sam shows Isaiah Bradley his newly dedicated section in the Captain America Museum, and Sharon is re-entrusted with government secrets, but that will surely backfire. She does call someone after this, but who this is on the other side is still a mystery. To conclude the relevant-ish Captain America connections, we have Hawkeye, Spider-Man No Way Home, She-Hulk, and Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Hawkeye is here because it shows us that Rogers the Musical is a thing, and No Way Home tried to put a Captain America shield on the Statue of Liberty and re-coppered her. She-Hulk brings back intrigue to the Hulks, which includes herself, her cousin Banner, who had figured out how to merge his regular and Hulk personas during the blip. Blonsky returns and has a new look for his Abomination appearance, which we first saw in Shang-Chi. Hulk had a kid on Sakaar, and his son is now on Earth. And there's this random group called Intelligentsia, whose leader got a hold of a Hulk serum formed from She-Hulk's DNA, but she breaks the fourth wall and seemingly wipes away that bit from ever happening because she is a goated character and should be lovingly praised. Please never watch this show. I try to watch the show as little as I can, but please let me suffer for you. I don't want to suffer, but I'll suffer for you. To breeze through Wakanda Forever, T'Challa has passed away. It turns out vibranium is also found in an underwater civilization near Mexico called Talocan. T'Challa's genius sister Shuri creates a synthetic heart-shaped herb and becomes the next Black Panther. And Namor, the ruler of Talocan, is our first mention of mutants in the MCU. That is all the content directly or indirectly related to the Captain America mythos, but let's take a look at these world events that have happened post-Endgame, but from the general public's perspective. I swear we are on all cylinders now. Based on release order, There are no Avengers nor headquarters, since Avengers Tower was sold in Spider-Man Homecoming and Avengers Campus was destroyed by Thanos. What has happened to either is still kind of a mystery. Spider-Man Far From Home has attacks from elemental monsters and a new hero in Mysterio, but whether or not the public knows it was fake and that Mysterio was behind it is unknown, but the public thinks Spider-Man killed him and Peter Parker's identity is leaked. In WandaVision, Wanda takes over the city of Westview with her chaos magic and a reborn White Vision is on the loose. The Eternals ends with the hand of a Celestial sticking up out of the Indian Ocean, and how no one has addressed this much yet is a mystery, and another Celestial shows up for a bit to take some Eternals with him and just dips out. But that must have been terrifying. If you want to see more of my thoughts on the Eternals movie, which I have a lot of thoughts, part 1 of my reaction is out, and part 2 is put on hold so I could work on this video. Spider-Man No Way Home brings in new villains, both techie and odd. The sky begins to crack Chicken Little style, and anyone who knew Peter Parker has forgotten all about him. In Moon Knight, the biggest public event was probably the manipulation of the night sky, and we know others saw it because Arthur Harrow and his crew did, but otherwise other things seem to appear invisible to regular people. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness has an opening with an interdimensional monster in the middle of the open. Ta Lo was under attack by Wanda as the Scarlet Witch, and someone may have taken a note of Strange having a third eye and leaving through a purple portal at the end of the movie. Miss Marvel debuts the titular character in New Jersey, so in case she's brought up, there you go. It also shows the copper Statue of Liberty within the credits. The only thing of public note in Thor Love and Thunder is how New Asgard is a bit touristy, and the villain makes an ambush and kidnaps some children. The children are returned, but as far as Earth-related things go, that's about it. Looking at Wakanda Forever again, it was the CIA that identified vibranium underwater, Queen Ramonda was killed, so Wakanda has new rulership, and the world may or may not know that Shuri is the new Black Panther. The Secret Invasion storyline has shape-shifting aliens called Skrulls trying to cause global nuclear fallout and infiltrating different points of global authority, as well as an attempt to kill the US president. The series ends with President Ritzen labeling all off-world born species as enemy combatants, resulting in hit squads trying to identify Skrulls. We learn War Machine has been a Skrull for some time, but this deleted scene from Falcon and the Winter Soldier gives us some ease that the War Machine in Endgame was the real deal. Is it technically canon? Not necessarily, but we have used deleted scenes as accurate bases before. Lastly, we have the Marvels, which all that's remotely relevant for Earth is a small attack with aliens, showcases Fury's new venture in space, which is Saber, and then a tease for the Young Avengers. Now, the release order after Endgame does not take place in a chronological order, so pieces on the timeline are a bit mismatched. And we do not know where this movie will fit in amongst all of this, so some of the events I said may take place after this movie. Time will tell. With that said, let me know in the comment section down below what you found most interesting from this video, and if you enjoyed it, please give it a like. Both of these things will help others find this video a lot better with the algorithm, and if you want to continue to stay in the loop with future movies and shows, then please consider subscribing and or joining the Pub and Fig Discord server. We would love to have you there. Anyway, that is all. Sayonara.